Topic as per the NCRT, the next topic is adaptation, and we all know what is adaptation from the junior classes. We had been learning this topic in details. We all know adaptations are the qualities or attributes or features or characteristics that enable the organism to survive better as well as to reproduce in its habitat. Now such features can be either morphological features, or they could be physiological features, or otherwise the behavioral features. Now adaptations similarly can be of two types according to whether they are short-term adaptations or the long-term adaptations. Adaptations which develop only in the physical features and they do not have their background in the genetic variation are called as the phenotypic variation. Such adaptations are supposed to develop because change in the environment around the living organism, and such type of adaptations are short-term adaptation. They disappear once the climate or the environment becomes normal again. In the case of the long-term adaptation, these adaptations develop because of the genetic variation, so they are called as genetic or genotypic adaptations. Such adaptations are for a long time, or you can say they are long lasting, and they will show effect in the population even in the years to come. Even if the climate undergoes change, they will remain there in the population. And there is a term which is used in the organisms that when we talk about population, in a population all those organisms which develop some changes which are short-term changes or adaptations and which are not genetic in background, but they develop because the organism wants to be more adapted in the environment, are called as ecophenes or ecads. So these are temporary variation. That means different ecads or ecophenes in a population are eligible and are able to successfully crossbreed because they both belong to the same genetic makeup and they belong to the same population. The only difference is their physical features change because of the change in the environment. Now the variations which develop in the genetic material are supposed to give rise to ecotypes. So ecotypes are the individuals in the same population which are able to breed, but they have their background in their genetic material change, so they are called as ecotypes. Now from here starts the main adaptations that we need to understand. Now how plants adapt to the variation in the light intensity. So there are two types of plants. Those plants which like bright sunlight, maybe for as long as possible, the day length should be long. Such type of plants which love to stand in sun for as much time as possible without any harm are called as the heliophytes. Helio word stands for the sun. And then those plants which love to stay in shade are called as the skyophytes. Now heliophytes are the plants which, because they are exposed to the sunshine, then they are supposed to develop short and thick internode. But when we pay attention to the skyophytes, they are supposed to develop soft and cylinder stem. Now these differences are because of the amount of sunshine they are exposed to. Because heliophytes do not have problem with the availability of sunlight, so their internodes will remain short and they become thick. But those plants in which there is availability of sunlight is poor, they try to grow longer and thin internodes because they want to grow quickly and reach high so that they can get more amount of sunshine. As a result of this, even the leaves of the heliophytes are supposed to be small and with thick epidermis, thick because they want to save water, because sunshine is available for a long duration which will cause more amount of transpiration. So to overcome that, the leaves become small and leaves become thick. And in the case of the skyophytes, the leaves remain large as well as they remain thin, and that means the cuticle present on the surface is also thin. In the case of the heliophytes, there is a thick cuticle as well as thick epidermis. And then the stomata present are sunken stomata. Sunken stomata helps to retain water, and because the leaf is exposed to the sunshine for a long time, that's why the leaves turn out to be light green in color, or you can say pale green in color. And such leaves may also carry hairy growth so that they can reflect the extra amount of light which is falling on them. So in the comparison with the skyophytes, the leaves are large, thin cuticle will be there, and the stomata will be present on the surface because there is no problem of too much of transpiration. and the leaves will be always dark, bright green in color, and they may or may not have the hairy growth on the leaves. Now, plants also adapt to the high temperature. We all know if the temperature is high, then we are talking about the heliophytes. Heliophytes, because they are standing in sun for a long time, they develop a high temperature. So because of high temperature, they slowly have adapted to perform their metabolism also at the high temperature. So they are adapted now to survive in such condition. And sciophytes are adapted to the low temperature, and therefore because low temperature is there, their body has developed the mechanism of following a low rate of metabolism or moderate rate of metabolism. So metabolism is faster in the high temperature and mediocre or 50% you can say, or lesser than 50% in the case of the sciophytes. Now plants even adapt to the availability of water. So there are plants which are called as the xerophytes, and then there are plants which are called as the hydrophytes. Those plants which are exposed to the dry condition, availability of water is very scarce, are called as the xerophytes, and those which grow in surrounded with a lot of water are called as the hydrophytes. So xerophytic organisms or plants grow in the dry habitat, and because they are in dry habitat, they have high rate of transpiration to the absorption ratio. So they absorb less water, but they tend to lose more amount of water. And then the xerophytes are of 4 types. First one is the ephemeral, second are the annuals, third are the succulents, and the fourth one are the non-succulent but drought enduring type of plants. Let's understand in detail about